Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Lakendra Red Smith, Health Sector Director of Project Transition Incorporated. Welcome back to our High Performing Athlete interview series, where we interview high performing athletes. We speak about their journey, their trials, tribulations, and we really discuss their transition to how they got to where they were and their successes in life. I want you all to welcome Mr. Adron Chambers, coach, new author, professional baseball player, World Series champs from the St. Louis Cardinals. Again, Adron, thank you for joining us for our interview series.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a wonderful thing to me to be able to talk about my life journey and continue to talk about what I want to do. So thank you for having me.
For those of us who do not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Who is Adron Chandler? I'm a new father now. I'm a
Congrats.
son. I'm a brother. Thank you. Born and raised in Pensacola, Florida. I like to win, so I played a lot of sports. I learned from my brothers. I had a bunch of brothers and sisters, so I didn't have to find friends. Big family. My grandmother was my best friend. I lost a sister at a young age. I love animals. My best friend is a dog. It's a bunch, I take up the whole interview trying to talk about the small things, but I kind of give you a little picture of myself.
Of course, you grew up in Pensacola. As you just mentioned, you were an athlete, but you were a multi-sport athlete. I'm aware of you from playing football. So talk to us about your athletic journey and how you went from a multi-sport athlete to your collegiate career and how you ended up choosing baseball.
Baseball was my first love, I guess you can say. My uncle was the president of the ballpark here in Pensacola, Warrenton Ballpark. And everybody went there. Everybody played. My brothers, my cousins, neighborhood friends, everybody. We played. It was like a big neighborhood of baseball. But football came in when I recognized that my friends were also playing football. And whenever the football season came up, my mother didn't want me to play football. I was the young boy, so she seen my brothers growing up and how rough they were. She didn't want me to bump my head. So my brother took me to a cookout one day. It was a neighborhood full of young boys out there playing what we call throw 'em up, bust 'em up. And I wanted to play. So I went out there and I was making them boys look silly, juking them. And my brother, he was the one really teaching me in the backyard when we played. He asked my mom, he was like, "Ma, you should let him play." And she let me, which was surprising. That's why I'm looking like I am now. She did not want me to play. And I ended up playing, and that's when football just became like nobody could tell me that I wasn't going to be a football player. I started following Randall Cunningham and obviously guys like Michael Vick and Warren Moon, and football just became my love. So when that happened, baseball was like that sport where they say you just want to do it just to stay in shape. At least that's what we say. That's how baseball was. I didn't care about it. So I went through high school and played quarterback and running back and tight end and kicker. And when I got to high school, obviously you had to start transitioning to the position that you gonna be the most consistent at and play all the time. So I started playing quarterback. I had a good arm. I pitched. That's where the pitching and throwing the football came into play. I had a good arm. And I made the team as a freshman, as a quarterback. Actually, as a freshman, we lost every game but one. Our record didn't show that we was a good team. And I speak about that because the next season, we only lost one game. So that love for the game really started setting in. We started training more and things like that. Well, my junior year came, I had to play receiver because we had a quarterback, Alice Gordon, which was a popular athlete here in Pensacola basketball-wise too. So I had to play a little receiver, but I played quarterback too. It was a little bit of a battle between he and I. He stopped playing and I wanted to play. He was not going to play for his senior year. So I thought I was going to be the quarterback. Well, he decided to come back and that was a whole episode. But that very first game, I started at quarterback. I think the coach just wanted to make me happy, and my mama too, because she went crazy after she found that I wasn't playing quarterback. I ended up breaking my clavicle that game of my throwing arm. So that kind of wiped even the idea of me playing the rest of the year. So I played receiver. My senior year came along and football was still number one. I played baseball in high school, but baseball was still that sport. Even though everybody was telling me I should play more baseball, all of my coaches telling me, stop playing football, play baseball. I still wanted to do it. I ended up meeting Chris Fair, which was like a big brother to me. He really stepped up to the plate. I didn't grow up with my father. He stepped up to the plate and showed me, what I'm saying, what my next journey could look like. So he started taking me to these colleges, and nobody really knew me. I didn't have any superstar numbers receiving and throwing, none of that. I went just off the strength that he believed that I could play. So I went and I had good numbers. I was the fastest at the LSU camps and the Ole Miss camps, dusting all the receivers. I had a really good arm, so I was still throwing, and I was going back and forth from receiving and quarterback. Well, Mississippi State, I went to their camp and I did very well. And they had the great Sylvester Croom coming in, who was the first black coach in the SEC. And I thought it was perfect. He offered me a scholarship and, I took it fast as I could. After that whole episode, because I really wasn't even familiar with college and all that process, I went on, had a great senior season. And that year, we had the Emerald Coast All-Star. I had a scholarship. I didn't have to play in the All-Star game, but they asked me because it was the first one coming back in our city, and I was the top player in the area. Offensive Player of the Year, the most passing yards. So they wanted me to represent for the first year being an All-Star game. So I did. Long story short with that, the last minute of the game, I only played 2 plays. I threw 2 touchdowns, well, maybe 1, and we ran another one. And a minute left in the game, we losing 21-14. They asked me to go back in the game. When I went back in the game, I ended up tearing my ACL with a minute left in the game. That kind of threw everything off. I didn't know what was going on. Football was everything for me. Thankfully, Sylvester Croom kept my scholarship. So I ended up still going to Mississippi State, missing out on baseball. And this is where the transition kind of started when it came to baseball. Ron Polk, who was the great manager over there at Mississippi State, baseball coach. He was coming to my practices and all that stuff, but mentally I just wasn't there. I was off, man. And I didn't think that I was the player that I thought I could be. I wasn't as fast as I could be. They wanted me to gain weight. It was college life. Football almost became your job. And I moved to a different city. I wasn't familiar. And I was on crutches the first day when I came into school. So I was really thrown off, man. And even though I did regroup, became a starter on the team, eventually the DB position, the 5th corner. I was a kickoff returner. I played. But just mentally, I just feel like I wasn't the same person. Went through some things, failed some drug tests. And then one day I decided to go up to a girl's room and expose myself. I found out very early that wasn't going to go well. And I got in a lot of trouble for that. Nothing where it was abused anyone. It was more so my character I was abusing, showing where my mind frame was right then. And I had to withdraw from school. I withdrew, came back to Pensacola, not knowing what I was going to do. I remember being in my car and crying, and I started seeing things like for what they were in my face, like what was really going on. I guess for a little while in high school, I was fixated on being a college athlete or playing at this high level that I felt like I was invincible sometimes. And now I'm not even knowing what my life is going to be about. I'm embarrassed to go into my city, didn't want to go outside. My name is all over ESPN. My coach, Sylvester Croom, who I love like a father, I felt like I embarrassed him, embarrassed my mom, my sisters, how people looked at me. It was a hard time, and I talked about it, but not at this length in a long time. Some coaches from Pensacola High School, they decided to come to my house and offer me a scholarship. They knew that I played baseball. Not knowing what was going on, I wanted to go play football to prove everybody wrong. I ended up agreeing, making the team, and I played very well. Well enough to where the St. Louis Cardinals, who I ended up winning the World Series with, they were there to come look at another player in DeMarcus Ingram, who was one of my best friends now. And I had a really good game that day, and they asked me to come to a tryout. After the season, I agreed, and I took a long bus trip to Memphis, Tennessee, down from Naples, Florida. I went to Pensacola to Naples, Florida, all the way back up to Memphis. I was late, but they still gave me a chance. I went up there and I swung the bat a few times. I ran and they liked me. They offered me $50,000 and I became a professional baseball player. But obviously it started right when I joined Pensacola State. So that's like the story of how my baseball life started. Football has always been what I love, but baseball, I was just as good in baseball too.
First of all, thank you for being candid with your story. Most people honestly would not get on this platform, but I'm quite sure your journey, your story, and the things you went through will absolutely help someone. My question for you, because you did mention you had mentors, you did have people that helped you along the way. So I'm curious as to how did the concept of being a new college student on a campus in a new city, how did that impact you? Because realistically, and I didn't think about this until I heard another gentleman say it, because you did mention that you come from a large family. He went to college and that was the first time he had his own bed. That was the first time he could eat whatever he wanted to eat and all these
Man,
things. And where the average college student was just there to go to school, he was there to learn how to live life. So I'm
yeah.
curious if you had any of those moments or if that was a challenge that may have impacted how you made decisions.
It's crazy because I never even thought about it. Like, I'm just like the guy that told you that story, but I didn't think about it. I thought everybody slept in the bed with their brothers and sisters because you only had one. Even when I would go to my friend's house, it was always like a whole bunch of boys and we sleeping over. It was the same way for me. I remember having a radio, a microwave, a refrigerator. And I really thought I was doing it. I felt like, man, this college life is a piece of cake. I got hot pockets in the refrigerator. I had everything. But at the same time, going back, I was realizing more and more, and I tell a lot of my athletes this now, that my mama wasn't waking me up no more to go to class. I was late. And I remember when I stopped being late, when Sylvester Croom made us push a 45-pound weight across a 100-yard field. He used to make us on our legs, pushing it back and forth like 10 times. That's when I started realizing that it felt like a job, to be honest with you. It didn't even feel like school. I remember, I think it was a dance class I was in. This young guy and a girl, he was like, man, y'all football players just get whatever y'all want. For me, what was happening on the football field, I was a people person. I didn't care. I just wanted to meet you. But I might have had that aura about myself that I was like that, but I didn't feel like I was better than you. So I encourage people to go to college to be able to learn how to adapt and adjust and to meet people and to learn where other people are from. Because everybody didn't live like I lived. Everybody didn't have the things that I had or had more of what I didn't have. It was most definitely one of those turning points in life. It was most definitely that adjustment. It wasn't comfortable all the time. Being home is comfortable and the freedom. My teammates had cars. Like we would drive to Jackson, Mississippi to go party, which I don't know why we would do that. But it was most definitely an adjustment. One thing I can say, and I always say this, despite everything that I've been through at Mississippi State, I still apologize to the young lady. I forget her name. I'm so thankful for Starkville, Mississippi. I'm so thankful. It woke me up to life. I appreciate everything that it offered me. And if anything, I feel like I didn't do justice by giving it back what I could have, because I love football and I was a good football player. It was just some knucklehead behavior I was going through in life. But college, Mississippi State especially, was the best time of my life.
Earlier, you mentioned a lot of the mental strife that you went through. Was there any resources that, in hindsight, you wish you would have had accessible to you to help you navigate that portion of your life, especially mentally?
Of course. I mean, it's crazy because I go back and I listen to Dion all the time and the fight that he had for his mother. We ain't going back to broke. It was the way he spoke about it. And I had Chris, even though he was more like my brother, when I was acting crazy, he was right there letting me know. Sylvester Croom was like a father to us, or a granddaddy, however you want to look at it. But at the same time, the people that I was looking for when I started realizing, especially after I left Mississippi State, like my father, that was probably the biggest. It wasn't just any mentor. I had the chaplain, the coach. I had the teammate, Jared Norwood. That dude is like a godsend. I can go on and on about him. Derek Pegues. It was some guys that were stand-up men. I hate saying it sometimes because I hate making my mother feel some type of way. But my father, man, it was interesting going through life, seeing other fathers there. Mean or not, it was very interesting growing up and having all of these accolades. Like, I felt like I was on top of the world. I had my scholarship. My mom didn't have to pay for school, brand new cleats every week, Adidas gear. No, so I was getting money. It was like I didn't need anything but your presence, and I didn't have it. So I thought about that a whole lot during the journey. So if it was a mentor, it's probably just having my father, God rest his soul, too.
How impactful do you believe the presence of a father is? Because I know you're a new father. So again, congratulations on that. You've mentioned the absence of your father and how that made you feel. And so just from your heart, how important are
Yeah.
fathers?
Thank you for that too. Thank you. I'm going to say this. I haven't been the best partner to their mother, but I say this, being a father and what it means to me, it makes me get it right with her because I know if it's not right with her, it's going to be some type of way with my kids because my mother and father, they weren't together. It helps me recognize that the closer we are, the better that bond can be with my daughter. I'm working on that daily, even right now, the way I talk about it. I think having a father is the most impactful thing, the most. And I don't take nothing away from my mother's. I love my mother. I think my mother is the greatest thing on earth. I think fathers have the most impactful piece of the puzzle when it comes to bringing up kids because that father is the humility that you learn from a father. And again, I don't take nothing away from mothers. You know, y'all women make us tighten up. Either you gonna go off the hinges and go crazy and start doing the crazy behavior, or you gonna figure out a way to answer it. You know what I'm saying? And that's a man to me. We're going to figure out, okay, I know I messed up, or I know you might be angry, or I might not be there all the time. I know it's an issue. Instead of dismissing the issue, we're going to try to fix it. I think a father is very important, big time.
Totally understand. Back to baseball. So at some point, you go to the Memphis Redbirds, you make the team, you play in AAA baseball, but
Yeah.
you're on the 40-man roster.
So they started off in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I have to throw in Johnson City, Tennessee, a tongue twist because of my man, Kelly. He helped me write my book. I know we'll talk about that, but I got to shout out Johnson City, Tennessee. And I'm coming to do a book signing there with y'all too. But this was new to me. And I get excited talking about this because as an athlete, you tell me to do something, or ask me to do something, and I'm going to make the shot. I'm me. Ain't nothing that I can't do. And the season starts. You go through spring training, and I did very well, showing everybody my speed. But you don't play every day. You wake up in the morning by 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You practice, then you have a game. Now, it's tiresome, but you still had times where you can be down, and they can replace you with somebody. But during the season, if you the center fielder, you the center fielder. I found out quickly that standing out there in that outfield and these hamstrings, that football and baseball were two different sports. You can't combine. It's a baseball shape and it's a football shape. And I learned that very quickly. And all of my athletes, the Patrick Mahomes of the world or whoever, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Baseball, I was still in that process of learning, and I had so much more to learn. So that's why I speak about that respectfully, Johnson City. And then we go to, after Johnson City, we went to Quad Cities, Iowa. So I'm traveling all over the place. I've never been to Iowa in my life, which I was able to see the Mississippi flood our field, and it snowed at the same time. It was literally fish this big in our outfit. Anyway, Johnson City, and then I go to Palm Beach, Florida. That's when things really started changing for me. I became the triples leader. I led all of Major League Baseball and minor league baseball in triples that year. I had a really good season. I went into Springfield basically with the same attitude of, okay, I'm learning, but I had a chip on my shoulder now. It was guys that I started seeing. They told me that when you got to AA, that's when they started seeing if you could really be a major league ball player. So I had a little chip on my shoulder because it was a guy that was there, Daryl. He was like the projected guy to go before me into the big league. So I felt like I had to prove something. So I went in and I did very well that year. And we ended up making a big trade. And the Cardinals ended up calling me up and not him, which was a surprise to me. They called me up to go to AAA, and I did very well again. They ended up asking me to go to the Fall League, which is the Arizona Fall League, where they send all the projected guys that they feel like would be major league ball players. So I was playing against Ben Revere and Bryce Harper, and all of these guys were there. And I did well over there. I did very well. But the Cardinals then called me. That's when the 40-man roster came about. Being a part of the 40-man roster is different from just being in the minor leagues. Being a part of the roster, now you get paid more. If they needed somebody in the big leagues, they have an opportunity. The contract is already there. It's a little different process being on the roster. But they called me, and I called my mama. I told her, Mama, these checks about to be different, baby. Yeah, but that's how the whole 40-man roster thing came. And I knew I belonged in. And that was before me even making it to the World Series. I knew I was a major league ball player. Once they made that phone call, I knew I was there. I had made it.
That is awesome. Let's talk about this World Series. Because in the process of this, I'm introduced to you. And so I'm watching, and then you get called up, and I have to cheer for you. I'm a Braves fan. We can just go
Okay.
on the record. I'm
Me
a
too.
Braves
Me too.
fan, and I'm cheering for the Cardinals. And all of a sudden, the Cardinals in the World Series.
Man.
It's a tight series.
Yeah.
In some kind of way,
We pulled it
you
out.
end up in the lineup. Let's
I
talk
know,
about it.
right? It's crazy, man. And the great Riley B. I told you along that way, I skipped a piece that I added in my book. When I got to the fall league, I sat in my room. That was a moment of clarity, man. Another moment, I should say. I made it. I cried in my room. Like I cried my eyes out. Just wondering, my dad was still alive at the time. Like, why he ain't here? Like, why he ain't called? If I had a son, I might have been one of them daddies that was like, let me call this joke in the big leagues. Let me see what I can get. He ain't do nothing. It wasn't no kind of call. So I cried and cried and cried. So when I got to Memphis, that's when I met my girlfriend at the time, Whitney, and her father. And man, Riley, if I hadn't known, I would just have my eyes closed. Obviously, I can't play baseball like that. I would have thought he was my dad. Even though this man had no idea who I was, he embraced me like a son. I'm talking about from conversations of how I'm going to deal with a relationship to how I went about my practices. He called me Double E, Eagle Eye. He gave me that nickname because of the focus and the concentration. When he would watch me, he would come to my batting practices. I'd go to the batting cage. I would go in the middle of the night, 12 o'clock sometimes, and he would come with me. And he'd be like, boy, you got an eye. God dang, you can see everything. So it was him that really, during that process, when I signed, when I got to the big leagues to go play with St. Louis, when I got the call up, I kept him like right there. I mean, I had Whitney, obviously, but he was like right there. Because sometimes I wouldn't want to listen to her. But he was like right there saying, son, don't worry about it. Just go tell her you love her and come back. Like he was giving me that type of advice on how not to push her to the side, but like what we were saying earlier, is like how we take the next step. And because of that, that allowed me not to let the big leagues get too big, if that makes sense, because he was humbling me all the time by just being him, not being mean or anything. He was just, hey, you woke up today? Don't forget what you were doing in Memphis now. You was waking up, hitting them cages, taking that extra work. He kept me grounded. And that allowed me to be the teammate that I was in the locker room. Edwin Jackson, Arthur Rose, Corey Patterson, all these cats, they became like my brothers because I came in with a humbleness, like I don't care who you are, I'm finna ball out and I'm gonna respect you at the same time. And then on top of that, you start seeing guys like Yachty and Ira Pujols. They were really kind and they were taking out my trash. They was, and I say that respectfully, like I'd be eating and they would be eating with me at the table and they get up to go eat. I'm done. They would take my plates to the trash. So it was little bitty things like that was like, oh man, so humbling that it allowed me to be the player that I was. That ended up allowing Tony La Russa to see how I practice. So now I'm focused, practicing hard. The manager sees how I go about business. Now he put me in the game because he's trusting me. He's seeing that I'm doing it in practice. So he said, all right, let's see if he can do it in the game. Boom, I got a couple really big hits, made a lot of nice defensive plays. I'm running the base and I'm the fastest dude on the team. And anybody know that. I say that because I know somebody might watch it. Anyway, it just allowed me to find my place on the field. And once that happened, once you start getting the trust from the manager, now you're a part of the team. The manager trusting you, your teammates are trusting you. And that's how you become a championship team. And that's exactly what we did. A lot of our guys came from all over the place. So when I got added to the roster in the playoffs, I played every game in the playoffs. And then when I got added to the roster in the World Series, it was like, especially being a rookie with the few at-bats that I had, the short time that I was with them, it showed me the player that I was. Like I could adapt and find out what the missing piece was and put myself in there and make it fit just right. Yeah, it was most definitely a journey with Riley. Riley is a big piece. Whitney, of course. And her mother, Miss Shirley, God rest her. Both of them. Man, if it wasn't for them, man, I can't even lie. I don't know if I would have ever been a part of that World Series team. Having them cook me them doggone meals, and I didn't have to go out to a bar. And no, I could have gotten a fight at one of them bars, you know what I'm saying? But I was in the house having a good meal and around family to talk about, because baseball was hard. So I was able to talk it out, talk my woes out. Man, I had a bad game, and I had a father, a man that would listen to me. My mama, she would listen, but the only thing mama gonna say is, they better not hit you with that ball. Man, she going there with it. But yeah, man, that was most definitely a journey.
So you had a storybook baseball career, and at some point, your athletic career comes to an end. And so, what was the most difficult part for you transitioning from being a professional athlete into these other realms of industry that you're transitioned into as of now?
To be honest, I'm still battling with that song. I still think I can go out there and hit. My boys always testing me. To be honest with you, I used to hear him say it all the time, but I never understood. He used to say, Adron, they don't teach you how to transition from athlete to that civilian life. And I didn't understand what that really meant. And I'm getting more of an understanding of it now. But when you say transition into these other fields, it's so fascinating hearing you say that, because it's like I was adding some stuff to my resume the other day. And it was just even knowing how people set up resumes and things like that, and the things that they add to make the resume sound good. But it was like leadership quality that they were doing inside of this certain field or occupation that they was doing. I wasn't even considered. It was straight sports for me. All I knew was just sports. So now being a coach, you start seeing the psychological side of it, the mentoring side, being a part of my nonprofit, being a businessman, understanding the language. That's been the most interesting part about it, because again, playing sports, I had a time on what I was playing. I had my uniform already ironed and set up for me. I was making money. We had our own chef. Like, don't get me wrong, these millionaires still got that. That ain't my case right now. I will say that transition, it was also a beautiful thing too. Being a part of that helped me with this too, like understanding who I am, what I'm capable of, swinging at the right pitch, all that kind of stuff still helped me. But it's most definitely been a learning curve, especially with kids, a learning curve and understanding. I think the kids just add a little bit of a spice to it. You got to take care of them. Same thing in baseball. If you don't get the job done, they going to fire your butt. It's been smooth. I say that. It's been smooth. It's been one of those things where you're like, golly, but why? What was that? Why didn't I just think differently while I was playing? I wouldn't have ate them Skittles or smoked them cigarettes. No, I mean, I wouldn't have done that stuff if you'd have been thinking 12 years from now. That's why I pride myself on using my story. And I'm not embarrassed to talk about it. I feel like if I can get this next generation to make a choice that you would want to make 15 years from now, you don't think that this is going to affect you. It is, though. Everything you do. So, yeah, most definitely. I think about that all the time, especially how the game is being played. Now these cats making millions of dollars. But it's been a nice one. It's been a nice little journey. I'm enjoying it right now. At this point, I am enjoying it.
So speaking of your story, several weeks ago, you had a book that was released that at one point was trending and doing very well on some charts.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
My book came out 3 months ago. The name of my book is From Pensacola to the World Series. And the significance in that title is Roy Jones, Emmitt Smith, Derrick Brooks, Fred Robbins, Justin Gatlin. The list goes on to how many athletes, Bubba Watson, Don Sutton, like I can go on and on, Trent Richardson. There's so many of us, so many athletes, so much love that we have for our city. I feel like it was only right that I put the name of my city in the title. And then obviously World Series, everybody who loves baseball knows what the World Series is. Came out about 3 months ago. And the greatest thing I can say about the book has been the information or the tips or advice I've been getting from guys like Quint Studer, saying that now I have something that I will have for the rest of my life in this book, just like baseball, winning the World Series. But added on to that, now I have something to be able to give people, to see, to feel, to hear, and use that in a way to be able to go out and do even more of what I love to do. And that's helping people. Being able to write this book has been probably, other than my kids, man, one of the best things that I've done. And then hearing other authors say, man, you just don't understand the accomplishment of writing a book. Like right now, I'm looking at your room and it's books right behind you right now. I can say that I have something that I can put on the shelf that I wrote. I have some editors, but I wrote it. That's what makes it so significant to me.
Before we wrap this thing up, do you have any nuggets you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, man, it's always something. When I say nuggets, I like to think of little tips that I can give to help people. If you want to hear them, you can find me on social media, Facebook, my name, Adron Chambers. Instagram the same way. You also can find me with Swing Champ. That's where I get this from. That's my business where I train young athletes. I mentor young athletes. I go around and I speak with young athletes and old athletes. I don't like to say, I think everybody young, right? And I also have a nonprofit. You can go on our website, We Connect, Reconnect, where we are very connected to the community, using baseball as a tool to get athletes or young people to open up about what they really want to do. We all know that everybody won't be a baseball player, but everybody has a gift that was given to them. So we use that We Connect to reconnect them to that, because a lot of young people may have disconnected from that. They got away from what they're good at because of certain situations, mother not being there, not knowing what you like. So many things can disconnect them. I name my nonprofit We Connect, Reconnect, to help them reconnect back to what they are capable of. And we use baseball as an influence for that. Those are the ways you can connect with me. Obviously, you can go on Amazon and buy my book, or you can hit me up for my link, and I'll send my link to you to be able to get my book. I have a signing coming up in June to 7 at 1216. It's a restaurant bar here in Pensacola. I have a signing that I'm working on in St. Louis, Johnson City, Tennessee. I want to be able to take this book everywhere and not just use this book to be able to speak, but my life and what I'm learning and how I can help people. Tap in.
So, Adron, we want to thank you for allowing us to engage in this wonderful conversation. And also for our listening audience, our viewership, I am Dr. Lakendra Red Smith, Health Sector Director of Project Transition under the leadership of Dr. Joaquin Wallace. Please check us out on our socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, Facebook. Follow us on our website. You can check us out there as well at ptransition.org. Be sure to purchase From Pensacola to the World Series. Be sure to follow Adron on his social medias as well. And thank you all for listening.